Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. In a world where action movies are constantly exploding at the box office, our heroes take on the monumental task of dissecting and analyzing all aspects of action movies to truly understand what it takes to make a great action film. Ben Bateman, Andrew Ghai, in a Popcorn Talk Network exclusive. This is Action Movie Anatomy.
Boom! What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Action Movie Anatomy on the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network talking movies and all things movie related. Today we're doing the best movie of all time. Okay, this is so exciting. All right. This is Action Movie Anatomy. We talk about action movies on this show. We love action movies. I'm Ben Bateman. This is Andrew Ghai.
And we're blue. It matches the ocean.
Yes, and the sky. Guys, Point Break, the original from 1991. We all have a favorite movie. Whether or not it's the best movie of all time, whether or not it's the greatest action movie of all time, we all have a favorite movie, and this is my favorite movie ever. So
it's sweet.
If you're a new viewer, I hope I haven't scared you off.
They just turned it off immediately, blew out their eardrums. What was exciting about this is it's very rare that we get to show each other movies that we've never seen before, really. Yeah. Like, you had never, ever seen The Patriot. Ever. Yeah. I'd seen Point Break once 10, 12 years ago on TV. Yeah. Remembered nothing about it. And it's your favorite. And The Patriot is one of my favorites. So this is awesome. These are the episodes that we, live to do.
Yeah, I said for a long time, when we started the show, that when we did this movie finally, I wanted to have, Keanu and, John C. McGinley and the Ghost of Swayze all sitting in the room with us. I think we can rest assured the Ghost of Swayze is sitting right here with us.
I'm pretty positive he's here.
Yeah, but the two-man shows have been a great deal of fun recently, so I think that this will work just fine.
The Bodhi Vasta.
Yeah, exactly. So 1991, directed by Kathryn Bigelow. Let's talk about what we do on the show. So number one, we do action movies on the show. They usually are made after 1981. That's not a hard, fast rule, but that's kind of where we start. The 4 rules of Action Movie Anatomy are that number one, the hero always plays by their own rules. Johnny Utah definitely plays by his own rules. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people or beings or things in the room. 100% the case in this movie. Oh, definitely.
Is Keanu the smartest person in the room?
He figures it out.
Or is he just there?
He puts it together.
I just like to surf.
No, he definitely puts the whole thing together.
Busey's the smartest person in the room.
What's the matter, Johnny? You look like you saw a ghost. Forget about it, kid. They are ghosts.
That reference cut to is so stupid. It's
sweet.
Everyone says that. It's you look like a black cat walk by. It's
yeah, no, it's amazing. It's like the Austin Powers. Yeah. I'll stay. That's number 2. Hero and the villain are always the smartest people. Rule number 3, the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. Political means they could be the man or work for the man, so they could be an MTA operator in the Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. He's a cop. God. He's definitely a cop.
He's definitely a cop.
100%. And rule number 4.
I am an FBI agent.
Rule number 4, there is at least one explosion. This movie is laden with explosions.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. They blow up a gas station.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's at least one other one, but maybe that's the only one.
That shot of him with the flamethrower and the mask is probably the most iconic of the movie.
I would say so, yeah.
It's super sweet.
I was asking my good buddy, producer on the show I work with, what his favorite moment is, because it's his favorite movie, and he said that's the shot. That's his best
shot, yeah.
Because it's so creepy. He's got the Reagan mask, and it's in slow-mo.
And he's just lost it.
Yeah. It's so awesome. That's how this works. So this is Point Break, 1991. The new remake of this movie is actually just coming out here in a couple of weeks. It comes out on Christmas, so we're going to be covering that as well. But in the meantime, we're going to get into this one. So why don't we watch the trailer first? Yeah. And then we can get into Action Movie Tagline.
Let's do it.
How's that sound?
That sounds radical.
It's an okay trailer.
Yeah, it's kind of that time, 91's a rough time for trailers.
Yeah. Not even 6.
Well, maybe you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
The HD video quality is just astounding.
Oh, yeah. There's 2 shots in this trailer that are not in the actual movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they're from cut scenes.
Let me just string this guitar real quick while I'm telling you the story.
A beautiful woman who doesn't matter.
I love that line. I taught him that trick.
Yeah.
I like it.
Definitely.
trying to tell me the FBI is going to pay me to learn to surf?
They bill him first, of course.
Of course they do.
Hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true.
We'll take you to the edge. You pass it.
See, that shot's not in the movie.
No.
It's gonna be a great day, Johnny.
His hair.
They were paying
Oh, yeah.
a federal agent to surf.
That's not in the movie, is it? Was it?
Babes.
Big one.
Yeah, that's not in the movie.
No.
Age, sir.
That is in
Yeah.
the movie, unfortunately.
Incredible. And that's in the movie.
Busey was so limber
Yeah.
back then.
That's so crazy, too, if you think about 1991. Like, Patrick Swayze, one of the biggest stars in the world, you watch him actually fall out of an airplane, and there was no special effect in 91 that was going to make that real. So
Yeah.
you're watching the trailer, and you're like, 91, you're like, he just fell out of an airplane.
He totally does a disservice to the film in the first shot of them skydiving.
Yeah.
Because his is so real.
Yeah.
And everyone else's is so
so
fake.
fake, yeah.
Sir.
Sir.
My first tube today.
Well, because he was an accomplished skydiver. He did it
loved
all the time.
Yeah, this is a thing.
It's the best. It's the fucking best.
How excited are you that we have a couple like first-time viewers today that tuned in just because they like this movie?
Is that true?
That's true.
Oh, I'm so happy you're in the chat today. Oh my god, this is
It's gonna be one. I'm actually gonna walk away now. It's gonna just be a one-man show this week.
I'm gonna play both parts. Yeah, when I was 12 years old, my older brother, who's 9 years older than me, gave me this movie on VHS. This was like I think a birthday or Christmas present. I can't remember which one, but he gave me this movie, and like when your older brother's 9 years older than you, like you idolize them. You
Yeah.
think that they are the coolest thing in the world. So I was convinced that Point Break. He kind of thought it was like a joke a little bit, like he had a sense of humor about it.
Right.
But I got like really into Point Break, and subsequently Patrick Swayze became my all-time favorite actor.
We've told this story before where your brother's done like left movies or given you movies,
Yeah.
and he's 9 years older. My sister's 10 years older than me. I only had sisters, so I got Clueless. That was what was left for me. That was
Bridget
the movie
Jones'
that she
Diary.
picked out for me was that. So very different childhoods we had.
Strange.
It's very odd.
It's very odd.
All right, so let's get into our first thing here.
Action movie tagline.
Action movie tagline.
So 1991. God, look at him just staring back at us.
I was just leaving this up for you, Ben.
yeah.
1991. This is like the in between of the 80s trailer voice and the 90s trailer voice.
That's why I'm just gonna do a stupid voice.
Okay, you're not gonna. So for those of you who are wondering, what we're talking about is like if the line was one man against the world, the 80s trailer voice would be one man against the world, whereas like the 90s trailer voice would be like one man against the world. Yeah, that's the difference. I think that this
One
trailer. I'm not really sure which one, but this is action movie tagline. So the deal here is when we were kids, we would go to the movie store. You would see like a big like row of VHS tapes on the wall, and it used to really be in those days they would slap these like critical taglines on the movies.
Yeah.
They tend to be a little shorter than the ones we use here.
little hook.
We go a little longer here usually because it's funnier for us. Yeah. But if we were to come up with our own action movie tagline for these movies, what would it be? Now, this one in particular is a little bit of a special one because like one of the examples we use is taken off the box.
Ben's written a 5-page thesis for his tagline.
But I included some of the example in mine. Do you want to
did
go
you?
first, or do you want to?
Sure, I can go first.
Yeah?
Yeah. Why not?
Wait, no, because you're going to use the word adrenaline, and then.
I'm not using the word adrenaline.
Oh wow!
You ready?
Of course.
You're gonna have to strap in for this radical ride where undercover meets underwater. Get ready to hang 10 in your seats.
That's
good.
really good.
It's good, right?
Yeah, you're getting better at this.
Thank you.
You're like we're like this. We get to doing this professionally.
I need a job. I need a job writing taglines. If anyone out there is hiring,
I want to write copy. My name's Andrew Ghai.
I'm an Aries. I like Long Lost on the Beach.
So
So let's hear yours. I'm like pumped for yours.
a pulse-pounding, nonstop adrenaline thrill ride that'll take you to the edge and past it.
And past.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty good, right?
From the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It'll take you to the edge. That's my action movie
I was
tagline.
really proud of my undercover meets underwater.
I know, that's great. Hang 10 in your seat. You had a really good one. Yours is more clever than mine, as per usual.
I had to. I mean, this is your movie, man.
Yeah. You
I had to
used
pay
the word
tribute.
revolutionary in the Patriot one. That was my favorite thing.
Got it all figured out.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, that was Action Movie Tagline. If you want to share yours with us, we have a Twitter. We launched it pretty recently. You guys were so cool. I think you gave us like 15 new followers since last week.
Yeah.
We still only have 114, but, we're moving.
You cannot pass the Andrew Ghai Twitter. I've got 138.
We're we're at AMA Podcast if you want to follow and share with us your thoughts, or just leave them in the comments. Also, we're on iTunes, so if you give us a rating and a review on iTunes, it helps us stay high in the standings and keep the lights on. We can't do the show in the dark, so we love to do it, and we keep doing it if you guys give us that back. Also, there's other shows on Popcorn Talk, such as Anatomy of a Movie, which is the flagship show. They do brand new movies every Friday. There's Video Game Movie Anatomy. There's Otaku Movie Anatomy. There's Profiles. It's a great network, and they're launching new stuff all the time. So check it out. If you want to follow either one of us on Twitter as well and share your thoughts, I'm Ben Bateman Media.
And you can find me at Andrew Ghai on Twitter.
Yeah. So let's get into the rest of this. We have a thesis statement we're going to share. What we do on this is where we come up with sort of like a big, strong, bold statement that is really like a hyperbole almost, like a very strong belief about the movie. It shouldn't just be like, this is my favorite role this guy played, or like, you know, he has the best lines in this movie. It's like, this should really be something big. This is the quintessential movie of this person's career, or this represents this moment, the end of this person's career, or something like that. This is the greatest this. And so we share that. And if you guys want to share them with us, once again, AMA Podcast. You want to go first?
Yeah, mine's kind of like, you actually said part of mine.
Yeah.
This is the biggest film for Keanu in his career, like turning point.
Yeah.
Because it's his first action movie film. We've talked about this a lot. And you see Keanu and like who he is now. He has movies like The Lake House after this.
Yeah.
But he really is like an action star. You know, he does Speed, he does The Matrix, all of them, you know.
Yeah.
He does John Wick.
His biggest success in the last 5 years has been another action movie.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
this totally rebranded him as an action superstar. And I think Kathryn Bigelow was a genius for doing that.
Yeah, because she was intent on having him in the movie. The producers, they didn't really want him, but she was obsessed. She saw this beach guy, I think obviously the Bill and Ted thing.
Right.
And she was like, I can turn this guy into the guy that I want. And she was very counterculture with the way she went about this movie. Even like casting Laurie Petty, you know,
Yeah.
a brunette with short hair with a boy's name, as opposed to like your general blonde beach girl, which kind of sort of was the...
Yeah, she did a really good job with casting this film. Everyone I'm really happy with. And that kind of goes on to say, or what my other part is that like Keanu, even more so than Arnold,
Yeah.
is the greatest product of being cast in the right place.
Yeah, he's the best bad actor ever.
Ever. Like, every single thing that he's ever killed it in, The
Yeah.
Matrix, this, Bill and Ted, he's just bad.
Yeah.
But it's perfect.
I think this is his worst acting of all time.
This is really bad. I think you're right.
But in the most memorable way possible.
Yeah.
Because it's literally the whole movie is quotable, and largely because his delivery is so poor.
Like, every line that he says
Yeah.
is horrible.
Bodhi, you crossed the line and people trusted you and they died. Like, that's the way that he
Where's
talks.
your pacing?
Yeah, it's just amazing. So what I said about this movie is that this movie is Patrick Swayze, the actor, distilled into his sort of purest form. Like, this is Patrick Swayze, but it's just actually him. Even everything about the character. Patrick Swayze was a musician. He played guitar. He used to play in New York. So there's a scene with him restringing a guitar. That's probably just an improvised thing. Like, he's like, there's a guitar around. Why don't I just do this?
Right.
Or, you know, Swayze surfed. He was an accomplished skydiver. He was a rock climber. He was a dancer. The spiritual thing about his whole character, that's just him.
That's just what he believes.
So this is the most like sort of distilled example of Swayze you ever got to see, and it was him at his peak, the peak of his powers. Because what people forget is, and we talked about this, the most memorable thing Swayze ever will do in his career is the Chippendale sketch with Chris Farley from SNL.
I mean, that is what pops into like 90% of people's minds when you mention Patrick Swayze.
It's
that
timeless.
and Dirty Dancing.
So when you think about guys, and we'll get to him when we do his career profile in a second here, guys that were that sort, like he was the people's sexiest man alive, people that get that title who are that kind of person, you're talking about McConaughey's and Goslings, guys who are like total sex symbols that have talent. And the world is fascinated by them at that moment. That was this moment.
They can do no wrong.
So what you had was Ghost, which was the second highest grossing film of 1990. You had the Chippendale sketch in the months leading up to this film. And you had Point Break, which was his best role.
Why didn't we pull the Chippendale sketch?
We should have,
We totally should have.
And the most Swayze's ever been. But the weird thing is, this is the iconic example of Swayze the actor, and also, ironically, the end of his career. Because everything fell off after this. So I think that what I will say, my thesis, is that Point Break is the best example of a missed career for one of our greatest stars. Because his career failed after this.
Why do you think that is?
I really don't know. He had.
By the way, audience, Patrick Swayze is Ben's favorite actor of all time, hands down.
Yeah, but if you look at his filmography, it's an example of somebody who only had a few hits. Really, I mean, he's remembered as a classic of his generation.
Yeah.
But his time period that he was actually a classic
It's
actor
like the Beatles of acting.
was like 3 or 4 years long.
Yeah.
Because literally, this is 91. The most relevant credit after this movie is Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. And that's in 19... Donnie
Best movie of
Darko?
all time? No, I was talking about Tu Wong Fu.
Oh,
Saying it was a good, it was
yeah,
a
yeah.
good thing.
No, but I mean, those are the two, like that and
Yeah.
Donnie Darko. And one of them, he's a cross-dresser, and the other one, he's like a supporting character who's a pedophile. I mean, he
Yeah.
was... Think about this movie. When this came out, like... So I guess what we can do here is we can get into fist bump moment because we'll get into his career in a minute. But I think this movie is the shining example of a missed career.
It was up until just this last year that I watched Roadhouse and this movie. So for me, Patrick Swayze was just Dirty Dancing and Tu Wong Fu.
Right, you probably
and Ghost.
You probably
but
saw
I
Ghost
didn't-
because you had sisters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the sisters.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Like I was trying to think of somebody I would sort of compare him to now, who've seen the same thing happen to in the last maybe 5 years. Somebody who was at his level, who was that big, somebody who could have been that on the cover like that, who was in 2 or 3 of the biggest movies in 2 or 3 years, and then just
What, maybe Will Smith?
maybe he can still do it.
I mean, he still can, and he's going to do it.
He might win an Oscar for concussion.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah,
might.
I mean, he's one of the people that pops into mind for me.
Yeah, like in his day, Mickey Rourke, it sort of happened to him. He fell
Yeah.
off. He was kind of that guy.
Oh, Sam Worthington.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Maybe
like,
so.
He was like on his way to being Sexiest Man Alive, like being in everything.
Yeah.
And then he just overpopulated the market with himself.
Weirdly enough, he so completely came out of nowhere, and then also
disappeared.
Yeah, he didn't even get the 3-year run. He got the 1-year run because
Yeah, it was
those
like-
3 movies were all
it was
1
like
year.
2 years of the greatest. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But in any case, that is my thesis. Is that
Okay.
this is the best example of Patrick Swayze that you'll ever watch, and also sadly the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is my hands down my favorite Patrick Swayze role.
Yeah,
He's amazing.
He's just got that charisma. That's that movie
Yeah.
star charisma.
That the thing we talk about. And,
Yeah.
and the other thing that you mentioned was that this is one of those examples of a guy being in the top of his game, being like the pretty boy, the good guy, the hero, the lover, the heartbreaker, and he goes and plays a bad guy.
Yeah.
But he's not a bad guy, he's an anti-hero.
anti-hero.
He's so sweet.
Yeah, it's rare you see it. You don't get to see it very often. It's Heath Ledger.
It's like Hummel.
yeah,
It's like a true anti-hero who you love.
yeah. You like him more than the main character.
Absolutely.
The other thing I was thinking about too is watching this movie as a kid, and realizing the difference in age between the two of them. Like, to me, when you're 12, they seem like they're the same age.
Absolutely.
Keanu says that he's 25 at one point, so you know how old he is. They never say how old Bodhi is, but
He's ageless, he's timeless.
yeah, he's an enlightened being that's
All right.
sacrifices nirvana to help others.
That's right. That's what the definition of his
Yeah,
name is.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing ever. No, I think they've got to be 10 years or 8 years apart, right?
I think so.
Bodhi's supposed to be like early 30s, probably.
That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, it actually made my recasting a little easier than I thought because I was going too young, and then I realized that I could go a little older if I wanted. So,
All right.
in any case, let's get into fist pump moment. This is easily one of the most fun things we get to do on the show, especially for this movie because, as it is for The Patriot for you.
Oh, I have such a good fist bump for this.
This whole movie is a fist bump for me.
over and over and over. Yeah.
So the fist bump moment, guys, is when you're watching the movie. Maybe you're with your buddies, maybe you're not, and something happens, and it could literally be anything. It could be a whole scene. It could be the music. It could be a headshot. It could, anything. And the opening credits, and you just watch it, and you just have this like, yes, this is so awesome. Like, are you seeing this right now?
Yeah.
Is anybody else seeing this? That is the fist bump
It was
moment.
basically like the 3 days leading up to
Yeah.
us watching this movie.
I was so excited.
So excited.
Yeah. So what's your fist bump moment?
Okay, so I have a real fist pump moment.
Yeah.
Like the thing that we always talk about where you look around, you're like, how much time is left in this movie?
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
I literally did that last night, right when Swayze walks up to wake Keanu up at 5 a.m. to
Yeah.
go surf. And I was just like stoked. I didn't know what was happening yet. I knew there was so much to come.
Yeah.
And I leaned over to Bateman. I'm like, dude, how much longer is left? You're like 45. I was like, wait, what? 45? I was like, no, how much time is left in the movie? You're like, oh no, we're only 45, but there's like a whole hour left.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck yes.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
serious? Like, I'm so excited. So that was my true, like,
Yeah.
real, legitimate fist pump moment. My other one was when Busey and Keanu are sitting in the office drinking
Yeah.
and there's beers everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, they've just been drinking beers, getting wasted.
Yeah.
But then Busey just pulls the bottle of whiskey and drinks that, and you're just
It's
like,
like, yeah, teeth. He's amazing. The first time you see his teeth,
it's the first thing you see when you see him.
is like one of the great fist pump moments.
It's like,
Yeah. I mean, I became like so obsessed with this movie in middle school when I was 12 or 13 years old. Like, weirdly enough, I didn't become obsessed with Keanu, But Busey and Swayze became my two favorites. Me and a friend in middle school made T-shirts with the image of Swayze from Drop Zone with the vein on his arm. I saw like every Busey movie I could get my hands on. I'm talking Surviving the Game, Breaking Point. He had a movie called Breaking Point that came out within 1 year of this, by the way. My Hero's Always Been Cowboys, Chrome Soldiers, Drop Zone, like just bad movie after bad movie. And oddly enough, over the years, just missed Lethal Weapon. I'd seen it once when I was a kid. So when we did it again on the show, and he's got the line that we always quote.
Officer Murtaugh.
Yeah. Don't be foolish. Look at the hardware. So excited.
So good.
All right. So my fist bump moment, this is the hardest I've ever had to think about line and fist bump.
That's tough.
On the show, like, because it's one of those things, it's my favorite movie. It has to be right. It has to be the one.
Yeah.
So I decided to go with the fight on the beach at the end. And it's after they get out of the water, and Swayze realizes that he's got the cuff on. And he's like, no. And Johnny's like, I told them you'd go quietly. And then you see the helicopter, and Swayze's like, no.
Yeah.
So my fist pump is when he's like, okay, man. Okay.
I'm gonna go to jail.
You win.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to jail. I'm gonna pay. And Johnny Utah gets his man.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Good for you. But look at it, Johnny. Look at it. My whole life is meant to. My whole life's been about this moment. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, man. Just let me get one wave before you take me. One wave. Come on, compadre.
Vaya con Dios.
Amazing. He looks at it. Takes his hand up. Vaya con Dios.
Vaya con Dios.
The whole scene, just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
The best thing ever. And the guy's like, what the fuck, you guy? You let him go. No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And then
Get him when he comes back in.
he's not coming back.
He's not coming back. Yeah. Just the best thing ever. And I love that the footage they keep cutting to in the scene is entirely stock footage.
It's just a completely different place.
It looks like it was taken in like the mid 80s. Probably like some beach in Australia, like documenting the largest waves in the world.
Yeah. Just nothing. They did that earlier. The first time they showed Bodhi surfing, it's like sunlight, and then just like dark.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the thing is like there's so many moments in this movie that are fist bumps because the foreshadowing we get out of movies like this, where it's like Bodhi believes in the 50-year storm, like a line like that.
Yeah, the first time they said, you're like, we're gonna see this at the end of the movie.
You're like, this is gonna be so sweet.
Yeah.
But I know you wouldn't miss this, Bodhi. Anybody have any comments? No.
I'm reading them. People are they're excited.
Good.
They like our enthusiasm. Let's just put it that way.
A lot of enthusiasm today. All right, so that is fist bump moment. To be fair, there's a lot more fist bump moments, and they will probably be shared as we go forward. But let's start out with Patrick Swayze's star profile.
Our new viewer just said, "God damn, this show is awesome."
Oh, goddamn, it is.
Goddamn,
awesome.
you're right.
Goddamn, you're awesome for watching.
That's
so,
right.
Patrick Swayze. So this is interesting.
What we were talking about.
Yeah. So Ghost is 1990. Next of Kin is 89, and then Roadhouse is 89. So here's there's no mystery to Patrick Swayze's career for anybody who's watching and being like, what are you guys talking about? He was a huge superstar. He was a bit part TV actor. Mm-hmm. He was in a huge epic miniseries in the mid 80s called North and South about the Civil War, which is not particularly good, but I've watched all of.
I've seen a few episodes of it.
It's long. It's like 18 hours of television.
Yeah.
That made him sort of famous. He got pretty big from it. He was in Dirty Dancing in 87. Mm-hmm. Small stuff like Tiger Warsaw, Steel Dawn, movies that not a lot of people have seen. Then this stretch, Roadhouse, Next of Kin, Ghost.
What's Next of Kin?
It's an action movie. It's it's a revenge film.
I do love those.
It's not particularly good. It's got like Liam Neeson in it, I remember. And
is he the bad guy?
Swayze?
No, Liam.
Liam, I think he is. Yeah.
It sounds sweet.
Yeah. It's been a while, but it's not quite good. I really haven't ever wanted to watch it a second time.
And yes, audience, we will do Roadhouse on the show one day. Don't
100%.
worry. They're like up in arms about this movie.
He's also in Red Dawn
Sweet.
and The Outsiders. I mean, those are like two of the big ones that like people often forget.
Right.
But yeah, then there's Ghost, Point Break, and then after that, if you look, you'll be like, why didn't he take better roles? Like it's like City of Joy or City of Hope, which is the one where he's a doctor and he goes to India, I think. It's a really bad movie. He was like
is it like Oscar bait? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but not good. There's Tall Tale. There's Fatherhood.
Wild Pecos Bill.
Wild Peace Bill. Tu Wong Fu. I mean, it gets really bad really fast. Like, it's very strange when you consider how big he was at the time this movie came out.
Gotta get a different manager or something.
Something, yeah. So, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Rest in peace, Swayze. He's,
Yeah, I mean, he's still one of the greatest, and, like, this show,
Yeah.
I love this show. Obviously, we do it every week. But, like, it has made me appreciate so many people in such a different light than I ever had before.
Of course, right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I feel about Mel. I mean, I was never like a big Mel Gibson guy, but I feel like
Dude, that's how I felt about Cruise.
Yeah.
And I love Cruise now.
Yeah, of course.
And so you got Keanu now, who's like...
On the way up.
He's on the way up.
It's weird how this movie represented the rise and the fall of both their careers.
They were both technically on their way up, but then Swayze just didn't go like he should have. You know, like he was on this run right there to look like the next biggest thing.
He was like, that's what I mean. He was the guy.
Right.
Like,
but then he just dropped off.
Yeah, I was watching in the documentary about this, and Lori Petty saying, she's like, when we found out that Patrick Swayze had agreed to take the role,
right?
She's like, it was a big deal. She was like, it was a really big deal that he was going to be in this movie. Because, I mean, the Keanu role, some of the guys that turned that role down.
Yeah, you got like Willem Dafoe and Val Kilmer at the top of their game.
Johnny Depp turned it down.
Do you know they wanted to call the movie Johnny Utah?
Yeah.
But then Swayze was too big, so they're like, we can't do that. We got to call it Point Break.
Yeah, it's crazy. So if you look at Reeves' career, you know, Parenthood in '89, which is sweet, by the way. If anybody has never seen the movie Parenthood, he plays Todd, who is the boyfriend, of like the, you know, it's I think Parenthood the show is based off it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like it's got a bunch of great like Steve Martin's in it, and it's got Rick Moranis is in it.
I think I have seen this movie.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah.
My parents, I was a troubled kid, and I lied a lot when I was a kid. Like I was 11 or 12, I'd like lie to my parents a lot. And the son in this movie like lies to his dad, but he's like in his mid-20s, and he gets in trouble with gambling, and he tries to like sell his dad's prized car.
I should have showed you River Runs Through It.
Yeah, well, he showed me this to scare me because he gets like his hands broken by and his dad has to like let him go.
Brad Pitt gets beaten to death.
Well, that's fair. But yeah, Parenthood's sweet, and he plays Todd. Oh, you know who else is in it? Is Edward Furlong. T1 or T2, because he's like the troubled kid, and so like Todd's the boyfriend of the troubled daughter.
Edward Furlong is like the ultimate troubled kid. American History X, like he just has that look.
Well, and then Keanu comes in, and he's like, because the parents think that Furlong is doing something really nefarious because he's like in his room all the time, and Keanu comes out, and he's like, he's been slapping the salami a lot, and I think that's it.
That was like Chris Klein there from
Just Friends?
Just Friends, yeah.
Parenthood's sweet. I've never seen I Love You to Death. My Own Private Idaho is awesome. That was also 91. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, very good, but not that good.
Right.
I mean, the first one was way better. And then was there one other movie this year?
Well, it was just that in 91, he also did Providence, My Own Private Ohio, Bill and Ted's Bogus. Wait, did you just say that?
Yeah.
All in 91?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then there's another movie this year called Tune In Tomorrow from 1990. I don't know anything about that movie. Do you?
No. Never heard of it.
Yeah, so I mean his...
he was on his way up in the sense that the way that most people are on their way up. You don't know any of their early credits, or they're so small in them or irrelevant.
Yeah, he had 5 or 6 things at this point that had been like noteworthy, but not like big deals. So like other than Bill and Ted's.
Right,
that was
the one.
I think his first movie, or one of his first movies, is a hockey movie from '86 called Youngblood with Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze. And yeah,
have you seen it?
And we talked about it on the Guilty Movie Pleasures crossover with Makuga.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
but yeah, he's a goalie on the Canadian hockey team that Rob Lowe goes to like join the team, and Swayze's the badass on the team.
Okay,
and Keanu's like the goofy goalie. He only has a few lines, but there's that. There's River's Edge, which is like a weird murder movie that's good.
Yeah.
My Own Private Idaho is pretty relevant. He's in that with River Phoenix, and then. Yeah, not much else, and then this, and obviously this was the first action role, and then
he goes into
that,
Speed. Yeah.
Gets much bigger. So we can talk a little bit about production on this movie. We don't have to harp on it too much.
Yeah, it's not a whole. I mean, that's the weird thing about this movie is other than Bigelow, most of these people kind of fell off.
Yeah, Bigelow is very interesting for those of you that like. I mean, some of you probably know her name now because she won the Academy Award for Best Director for Hurt Locker.
First female to ever win Best Director. Like, she was huge. And the movie's amazing.
She was married to James Cameron from 1989 to 1991. So he actually is a co-producer on this film for that reason. They actually had to rewrite the script together because there was a legal battle over the original writer.
Right, and there's also another legal thing about why he's not mentioned as being a writer on it.
Cameron?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that part of it, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me. So they were married for 2 years. They got divorced around the time this was over. You know, Cameron, we all know he's sort of a visionary, hard to work with, so I wouldn't be surprised if being married to him is also difficult.
Especially if you're also a director.
Yeah, right, completely.
Yeah.
But she really came into her own. Now, she's got a bunch of credits, some of which I've seen and others I haven't. So
just watching this movie, though, like, you could even tell back then she was a visionary. Like, she was a great director. I mean, even though this is not like an amazing Academy Award winning, like any type of that sort of movie, the things that she did, especially with the chase, was so revolutionary. And even now, like, when do you ever see a foot chase that's that good, and, like, that close? And it was filmed 14 years ago.
The action in this movie is
24 years
really,
ago.
really sweet. Like, it's, if you think about the fact that this is 91, it's the same year as T2.
Yeah.
So, like, we always compare things to Terminator 2, and this movie doesn't feel dated in the way that a lot of the action movies from the time do.
Yeah.
Like, the action feels like it's paced correctly.
It's kind of like The Town, like a really old version of The Town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd say so.
It still holds up.
Yeah, but she's got a bunch of credits in movies you guys would probably have heard of. Obviously, the two recent ones, the big ones, were Zero Dark 30, and then prior to that, The Hurt Locker, which is so funny because they're so different in tone in this movie. I mean, those are such dark, serious, autobiographical in a lot of ways.
Real and raw. I mean, those are my type of movies.
Yeah, and they're great. But then you go all the way back, and she's got the vampire western horror film Near Dark, which has Bill Paxton in it.
Love Billy Pax.
Yeah, that movie's sweet. I've never seen Strange Days or Blue Steel, which I was reading that's referred to as her sort of like crime
Blue
trio.
Steel is?
There's a movie called Blue Steel, and then this movie called Strange Days. And those with Point Break are like referred to as her crime trilogy.
Okay.
I'd like to see him. Strange Days, she won an award for back in the day, so it's like a movie that is somewhat well regarded. But I don't know much about Blue Steel. I think I looked, and it was starring a female who's sweet. Just Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's like a cop who's
Love Jamie Lee.
yeah, she's in like a cat and mouse battle with like a serial killer or something like that. So
Sounds great.
I kind of want to just go watch all of Kathryn Bigelow's movies.
Yeah, because they're all been good.
Yeah, I've never watched K-19 Widowmaker. Did you ever see that?
I did.
Is it like pretty bad?
I mean, I watched it when I was young.
Yeah.
And like it was cool at the time.
Seems hard to imagine that.
Isn't that like around the same time that U571 came out
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
I watched both of them.
I have a hard time imagining that Harrison Ford and Kathryn Bigelow wouldn't have made a sweet movie together, but you never know.
Harrison Ford has a sweet Russian accent.
I remember
can
that.
tell you that.
Yeah, there's a line in the trailer where it says, "We do not negotiate with terrorists."
I can't remember how he says it, but it's very good.
Yeah, it's really good. The writers on this, I thought this was sort of cool. This movie was a concept essentially that was kicked around by these producers, Peter Abrams and Robert Levy, and they found this young screenwriter Peter Iliff, and he was working as a waiter at the time in Los Angeles, and he got paid $6,000 to write this script, and he wrote 3 drafts, and by the time the 3rd draft got written, they sold it to Columbia. So he's still working as a waiter at the time that they sell a script for Point Break. But the thing is, that's in the mid '80s.
Right.
Long before the movie was actually made. So they started building sets, and they got all the production going, and casting was going, and then one day the movie got canned. And they had spent 6 months building sets, and they tore everything down in a day. And he just watched his dream just crumble.
Yeah.
So a few years later was when Kathryn Bigelow and James Cameron resurrected the script, and they made it the first release under Largo Pictures, which you see in the trailer. That was their production company. And so that was, I think that probably has something to do with the legal battle with the script stuff. Wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
Obviously, it's a long time ago. I don't know that much about it, but
Yeah, that's one thing that happens when we do research on movies that are super old and not super massive.
Yeah.
Is it kind of just all gets lost.
yeah, this is like, as evidenced by the remake coming out next week, this is obviously like a much more of a cult classic than when we'll get to box office in a minute. Like, it didn't do that well.
No, it didn't really do well in any facet.
Yeah.
It didn't open well. It didn't make a whole lot of money. I mean, it definitely made its money back, but...
Yeah, it just sort of missed the mark a little bit. You know who I was thinking who could sort of be a guy kind of in like the vein of where Swayze is now?
Who's that?
Or I'm sorry, not Swayze, of where Keanu was then. Is almost like Zac Efron. Someone who you're kind of looking at and you're kind of like a rubber person.
Yeah.
You're not like a real, but you're like kind of a good actor and you kind of get good roles. But if you got the right role, maybe you are a good actor. We don't know it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that with new actors now, like new young actors,
Yeah.
they actually have to be pretty damn talented. You can't
Yeah.
just be good looking anymore. Like you saw what happened with Taylor Lautner.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, to those that are fans of Taylor Lautner, the dude can't act for shit.
Right.
And there's a reason why he just completely fell off after Twilight ended.
Yeah.
He looked incredible. His body was insane, absolutely. Yeah. But that you can only ride that for so long anymore.
Yeah.
And so like to find actors, it'd be like a Taylor Lautner. That's who would play Keanu.
Yeah, Keanu, like Taylor Lautner, like he's too old now, I think.
Is he?
No, I was gonna say Hayden Christensen's another,
Oh,
like,
yeah, exactly.
like bad actor who's like the Roxy Stryer, first lady of the show.
Yes.
Loves Hayden Christensen.
Yes, she does.
She adores him.
I don't know why.
I've like hurt her feelings before by saying how bad of an actor I think he is. Yeah, she doesn't like that. Anyway,
Sorry, Rox, we love you.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen sucks though.
So yeah, what are we talking about? The
We can do producers if we want. I mean,
yeah, I mean the producers on this movie, weirdly enough, for as big of the names involved, James Cameron, Kathryn Bigelow, I mean Swayze and Keanu at the time, like big cast, big script, big budget. They're just not that big. Like really, ultimately. You know, Levy, this guy Robert L. Levy, he produced Smokey and the Bandit in 1977, which is like a really big movie, obviously. Yeah. But he and Peter Abrams worked as the primary producers on this film and worked together on some stuff. I mean, The Wedding Crashers is a big credit. It's more recent. Pay It Forward from 2000. Payback in 1995 is like kind of the same wheelhouse. But I mean, really, like, you're not looking at this where you're like, oh, and they produced a ton of Mary-Kate and Ashley TV movies.
that's their call to fame right there.
But I mean, it's not one of these situations where you look and you're like, it's, you know, we're looking at Lethal Weapon. It's like, oh, these guys also produced Saving Private Ryan and Gladiator.
Right.
It's like, which you often come across is that the crossover. You know?
Did you love Mary-Kate and Ashley when you were my like 14 or
I had
12 or
a
whatever?
crush on them, sure.
Right. Moving on.
Did you watch a lot of the movies?
I watched a few of them
Because you had sisters.
I know. Because I love them. Alicia Vikander, if you're watching, I still haven't watched any of your movies. All right, so we'll get into critical and box
Which was
office.
your favorite? How the West Was Fun. It Takes Two. The Parent Trap.
The Parent Trap was probably my
Wait,
favorite.
was that them or was
That was Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis.
What was their version though?
Oh, no, that's Freaky
Oh,
Friday.
It Takes Two.
Oh, no,
that
yeah,
was their version.
Yeah, that was their version of it, yeah.
Our Lips Are Sealed. What's the
Why
one?
can you name all of them?
What was the one about Paris? From
out
Paris?
out of town? It was... I don't know.
I just
Let me go home and look at my collection. All right, so this movie was released by Fox in July of 1991. It cost $24 million to make, which is, you know, that's a good price.
At the time.
Makes sense.
I mean, it's the same. For the record, that's the same year as T2.
Right.
And
T2 cost 70?
100 million.
Oh, 100. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So it made 43 domestic, 40 worldwide for 83.5 total. You know, it's
like
like
4
triple
times
its money.
its money.
Yeah, 4 times. It's great.
Yeah.
It's very good. It did open at fourth at 8.5 million, and what it opened behind it makes perfect sense. I mean, you got T2, still going. You got 101 Dalmatians reissue, Disney, and then you got Boys in the Hood, which is kind of a classic.
It's really weird if you look at those numbers. It makes you think that somehow the world wasn't all on board with Swayze. That's kind of what it seems like.
I mean, that's why what I was saying earlier is like, because you and I were talking about who was the guy in '91, and you were like pretty adamant that it's Swayze, and I don't disagree with you.
I'd say top 5.
Yeah, definitely.
It was him, Gibson, Costner,
Those are probably the top 3.
Cruise.
Cruise is 4, and then
Him, Gibson, Costner, Cruise, and
there's
maybe
someone
like,
else I'm not thinking of.
I mean, you had the dramatic guys. You had Hanks. And you had like Hoffman. You had Hackman.
Probably be Hanks. I think it'd be Hanks.
Beatty.
But the thing is that I still feel like he was on his way up.
Swayze.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's just early 30s. I mean,
and he'd only done Dirty Dancing and Roadhouse that was just him, and then Ghost, and then this. So it was like, yeah, this guy had a lot of promise. He could do anything.
It seemed like it. It's weird. It's weird that this movie actually didn't make more money. That it could get beaten out by. I mean, I guess T2 is not surprising at all.
Boys in the Hood is the only one that is kind of surprising, because I don't think Boys in the Hood opened the same weekend.
Yeah, it's really odd. It's before our time, honestly, like going and seeing movies, but
so we can pull up the charts here for Swayze's his money, his lifetime adjusted.
Yeah, I didn't pull,
or unadjusted, excuse me.
Yeah, I didn't pull the adjusted this time. I sort of felt like the unadjusted.
Ghost.
I know. Yeah, I mean, Ghost made so much money just the year before.
He was on a run, man. He really was.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like when you think about
stretch.
When you think about one of these moments where a guy is the guy in our culture, like it's a guy who's everywhere for a minute.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's sustained, but usually after about a year or two, as a culture, we feel like sort of oversaturated.
I was just gonna say, you cannot oversaturate yourself as a lead man.
Yeah.
And like Hardy almost did it for a little bit when he did This Is War and all that, and Gosling almost did it as well. But Pratt is kind of the example of someone that isn't doing it.
Yeah.
He almost, I mean, I'm sure he could.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could have made 8 more movies last year if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And it's good because like Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic World was like, okay, dude, calm down. I don't want to see, because these are movies everyone's gonna see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Worthington did it a little bit. That's
what.
almost
Yeah,
his
exactly.
fault.
That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, you can't in his position really fault him.
Of course not. I mean, imagine being that age and being like, dude, we want to put you in everything as the guy.
He was essentially culturally a nobody, and he was in Avatar, Clash of the Titans, and Terminator Salvation.
Yep.
All in the same year.
Massive.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Exactly, and then just done.
Yeah, we
Game
just
over.
sort of didn't
Got tired
really-
of him.
You know who did it a little bit was Christian Bale. He did to himself a little bit right around the time, right around like 07,
Public Enemies and stuff.
2007 or 2010.
Yeah.
He did this like a similar performance too many times. He's a little bit back to being like legit again. But
Yeah,
I
I think
remember when Terminator came out and 310, and I feel like maybe like Dark Knight was huge at the time, so we'd seen a little too much Christian Bale. Public Enemies. Anyhow.
There's not really a lot to talk about with the numbers on Swayze. We just kind of wanted to pull them to just, look at Ghost, look at Dirty Dancing, and Point Blank. Those
Look
are
at number 10. Youngblood. Yeah, Red Dawn obviously was a big one. But yeah, I mean that's the crazy thing. If you look at these movies, like almost every single one of these movies came out between like 86 and 91. Like almost every single one.
Look at the opening weekends on all those movies that came out between 86 and 91. They're all above 8 million.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of them are way, way lower. So it was like, yeah, he was clearly the guy. Like he was enough to sell a few extra $1 million worth of tickets.
Yep. Yeah, you could bank on him. It's just a shame he didn't make more good movies.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That's why when you told me he was your favorite actor of all time, I was kind of just like, really?
Yeah.
Like why?
Him and Farley, man, they're the
Get it.
same.
Yeah.
They only had there are few roles.
You saw them in that one scene. Hard to tell them apart.
That like I wish we had that scene. To
I know.
play.
I don't know why you didn't pull it. I don't know
Yeah.
why I didn't think of it.
Well, yeah, it's probably too difficult to pull it and play it, but
The show.
nonetheless, we will get into critical.
7.2.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
and it's so indicative of how much people like this movie.
Of course, it's a huge
Yeah.
cult classic, and it is that. I mean, like, there was not one moment last night where I was uninvested.
Yeah.
I was so all in.
And this is a classic for our show too because it's 68, 33, 79 on Tomatoes.
Yep.
So you have 68 on all critics, 33 on top critics.
course.
Top critics with their heads up their asses, and then 79% on
Is this it?
audience.
Is this it, Mark?
Give me a sec, guys.
Oh my man. Okay, sweet. Okay. Yeah, and it's so funny. We were talking about this last night. There's this feel, excuse me.
Yeah.
English is hard sometimes. There's this feel to these movies that came out in the 90s that you just can't replicate anymore.
Yeah, you can't.
No matter who you put a Gosling or a Hardy in a movie like this, like that big of an A-lister with an up-and-coming guy, and it's this kind of like surfer boy premise, like crime action movie. They all take themselves too seriously now, or they're trying too hard to do something. They don't feel this good to watch. Like there's this specific feel, this nostalgic feel of these movies. The Patriot, Speed, this movie, like all those mid-90s action movies.
Yeah, it's why we chose. I mean, that's why when we decided to do this show, originally it was going to actually be 81 to 01. We extended it up to modern day because we wanted to be able to new movies as they came out. But there's this golden age for about that 20 years where it's like just the tone of the movies are different. So like Gone in 60 Seconds is, in my opinion, right at the tail end of when movies stopped feeling like this.
Right.
And it doesn't quite feel the same as like a Point Break or a Speed.
No.
But it's very close.
It's very close.
It's very close, and the early Fast and the Furious movies, the first one especially, there's just something different.
Is this movie?
Yeah, it's just the same movie.
It's the exact same movie.
100%.
Yeah. They even order the same sandwich.
Meatball sub?
The tuna on wheat.
Really?
He orders it for Jordana Brewster.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know
Isn't
that.
that great?
That's fantastic. Yeah, so we have a couple reviews here we pulled. We had Jan and Maslin from the New York Times. A lot of snap comes surprisingly from Mr. Reeves, who displays considerable discipline and range. Really? He moves easily between the button-down demeanor that suits a police procedural story and the loose-jointed manner of his comic roles. I mean, I get that he's supposed to be a surfer, so like some of the bad acting is like he's a surfer.
That's why I pulled it.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny.
I mean, he's downright terrible in this movie. Like,
Yeah, he is there's not one line where you're like, oh, that's good.
Like, I'm not going to use it as my favorite line, but like the sequence when he's leaving messages for Tyler after she
Oh my
walks out.
god. It's so good.
He's like, Tyler, I lied to you. I had to because I thought you'd leave. Good guess, huh? Fuck, why can't I ever say what I really mean? It's just the best thing in the world.
The funny thing though is like I was sitting there having this moment of like back in the 90s when you would leave messages and you'd say the wrong thing and you were just like fuck. Okay, let me start. This is all recorded. Oh, it's the worst.
Damn
The
it, why am I
worst.
so bad at this?
And so I pulled Peter Travers' rotten review saying that Bigelow can't keep the film from drowning in a sea of surf speak, but without her, Point Break would be no more than an excuse to ogle at pretty boys in wetsuits. Which, I kind of agree with him.
It's like this movie, I will always say, we look for movies on this show that are ridiculously legitimate, the middle category. Movies that are extremely compelling, that have at least one performance that feels like you're watching something special.
This one has 3.
Yeah. And then just a whole bunch of awesome fist bump moments.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean the movie has to be of the highest quality. It has to be engaging the whole way through. Some unintentional humor is great. This movie to me is like almost the number one. It's like this and The Rock are the 2 movies that I had in mind when I wanted to do the show. Was like those are the 2 movies that I watch that just make me feel so like
it's just good. Just so good.
just awesome.
like complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a smile on my face the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's why this movie is like very hard for a critic to characterize, and it's hard to explain. You know, Rocky IV is a movie that's just like that. Hard to explain to somebody who's like too sort of highbrow about their movies what makes it so great.
Right.
Because in a lot of ways, I can think about movies that I've watched once that I thought were fantastic. I mean, dark movies. Like I'll take a movie
like Zero Dark 30 or Hurt Locker. How
Yeah.
many times have you seen those?
Once each.
I've seen Hurt Locker a lot, but yeah.
They're great, and I would gladly watch either one of them again. But would I like actively want to go out of my way to like have a few drinks with my
Right,
buddies?
let me go
and
turn
put
on
those-
Zero Dark 30.
No, like
No.
that's a different experience. So
Turning on Warrior is completely different.
that's why Warrior is like one of the ultimate films for this show.
Greatest turn on your movies or turn on a movie when you're drunk.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
We've done it 100 times.
Literally.
All right, cool. Well, now we are into the.
Favorite line.
Yeah, this is hard. So again, guys, if you're watching or if you've just tuned in, we have a Twitter. It's AMA Podcast. Tweet your favorite line at us or leave it in the comments. Let us know what you think. This is a very difficult one. I've seen it so many times that it's the same feeling as Fist Pump, where I was like, I really have to have. I don't have a favorite line.
I don't either. There's too many. Like there's so many lines that I would like write down. And like last night watching, I was like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. And then I was finally just like, there's 2. Like, how do I pay justice? Like, how do I honor this movie for what it really is with one line?
Yeah, I mean, the one I started with was after the day of surfing, and then he gazes out and you see Bodhi on the waves, and it's like the music changes and it's like doo, 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 and she's like, and he's like,
That's
who's
the
that?
Bodhisattva.
Yeah, she's like, that's Bodhi. They call him the Bodhisattva. He's a modern savage, and you're like. Guys, she's like, guy's even crazier than you are, Johnny.
Yeah.
And like you're watching, and you're like, I was almost my fist moment because when it happens, you're just like, oh, this is so sweet.
That's the sequence where you're like so into the surfing that it just cuts to a completely different person on a different beach. But yeah, it's very good.
Because you see it and you're like, oh, this guy's such a badass. You're like, there's no way this guy's a total badass.
Yeah.
And then he runs up and he kisses the girl. He's just such a stud. Like,
Such a stud.
Yeah, and Keanu doesn't even say anything. He's like,
Yeah, Keanu's just.
I mean, but then the football game, like, the movie is just endlessly entertaining.
Football
for me.
game is sweet. It was
Cool
almost
it,
my
Roach.
fist
Don't you know who this is? This is Johnny Utah, Ohio State Buckeyes.
Number 9?
Number 9, man. Nice to meet you.
Johnny Utah, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you, bro.
And he's like, I knew it was you, man. What was it, 3 years ago?
USC? Yeah,
The
so
Rose
good.
Bowl?
That's a good line.
Yeah.
My first one was when he's talking about the other guys, and he's like, they only live to get radical.
They only live to get radical.
So serious.
Only live to get radical. Yeah. He's incredible. Yeah, I mean, that's...
If Cruz could say that. Look, they only live to get radical.
You know what's fascinating about this?
You think Cruz could play him?
Keanu.
Don't say it. Oh, Keanu?
Because the age. It's exactly the right
Cruz
age.
could play Keanu
In 91.
in 91.
It's totally...
Thank God he didn't, because
Yeah.
it's so much better. But I could see that.
Dead on. I mean, 91, that's like 2 years after Born on the 4th of July. It's the year before A Few Good Men.
Right.
I mean-
yeah, he's still super. Yeah, and he looks.
Super young.
He doesn't age.
FBI agent, like, coming from Ohio. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of dead on.
All right.
You know, before we well, let's... Well, yeah, what do you got? What's yours?
Oh, what?
Your favorite line?
I just told you.
What did you say?
They only live to get
Oh,
radical.
yeah, of course.
That and come on, compadre.
Yeah, come on, compadre. But see, the thing is, I want to just quote the whole movie.
I know. That's
Yeah.
why I've been trying to drop them throughout the show.
Yeah,
It's because
right.
like, I am an FBI.
Yeah.
Like you had to say that at some point.
Of course. I mean, there's just like every
Utah.
Yeah.
Give me two.
Yeah. Roach, you're cold because all the blood is rushing out of your body. You're going to be dead soon. I hope it was worth it.
How fucking annoyed would you be if you're dying and that guy's talking? You're cold because you're gonna be dead.
Yeah.
Like, God, just let me die.
Or like the other one that I was thinking about was when the first time you see Busey, and he's like,
Just sitting there talking shit.
I've been in the service for 22 years. I fired my fuse over 19 times in the line of duty, and I got no idea what a blind man fetching bricks off the bottom of the pool has got to do with being a federal agent. Add to which indignity I've been saddled with some blue flamer Quantico cat, some quarterback punk, and Johnny Unitas or something.
Yeah.
The shit they pull. Right. This is amazing. We're gonna get into hero villain ranking here in just a second, but before we do, we actually have the chase sequence that we were referencing earlier that I think we should cue up.
Oh yeah, let's do that. This is sweet.
Yeah, because I mean, this is right after the shot that we missed where he burns the place down. But yeah, Keanu like just tackles him.
I love that I knew more about this movie from watching Hot Fuzz as many times as I have. Because I'd never seen this movie.
That's like a lot of people though. I mean, this movie was sort of immortalized for a lot of people in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
You ever lay down on your back and shot your gun up in the air and scream, yeah?
Yeah. That knee again. Sorry, my friend.
I love that Bodhi just goes to his house the next day.
Yeah, of course.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, so I guess they shot this all with like something they called a pogo cam.
Yeah, it was like they makeshifted a camera with like part of a steady cam and part of a hand cam.
Yeah, and it's got like a stabilizer to keep it like fairly balanced the whole time without moving too much. But yeah, I guess they shot it a bunch of times from every angle, running behind him, running in front of him. I think it's all Swayze's stunt double in this scene.
Oh, is it?
Because he was off filming something else.
Okay.
But his stunt double in the interview is just like, he was such an incredible athlete. He was like in such great shape. He was like, I really had to be in pretty amazing shape to be able to do the stunts in this movie correctly.
I like that halfway through it, they just start kicking other people's asses that are in their way.
Yeah, so you know that Swayze, his deal was that everyone knows he's a dancer, and he was like raised as a dancer. That was like his passion, is what he was going to do. He broke his leg super, super badly, falling off a horse.
When he was filming?
Yeah, when he was younger in his career.
Oh, okay.
And it took him a while for his leg to heal all the way. It was like when I think it was in high school or college years is when he broke it. So he continues to dance, but like dancing competitively, like as a career, he ended up abandoning. And
Keanu actually used to. He was a star hockey player.
Yeah,
and
right.
he hurt his knee.
Same
and
deal.
He became an actor.
Yeah.
So he's pissed.
Yeah.
Trying to clean her house up. The dog. I love that he throws the dog.
That's one of my favorites. Back off, poor child. Seriously.
Because it's like there's this. That's what I love about Bodhi as a character, is that he has this on-off switch.
Yeah.
Where he's like the coolest, chillest, most like zen dude.
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to it, like he'll kill you.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is awesome.
That's one of my favorite.
But he won't
moments
kill
too.
Utah.
In the scene in the bank. When the undercover cop's reloading,
right,
and Bodhi's just seen his brother get shot.
He's like,
you see the rage on his face,
yeah,
and just to gun out and just like,
great kill, great kill.
Oh! Lays on his back, fires his gun up in the air, and screams, "Ah!" Yeah, the Reagan mask, man.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's become so memorable because it's such a creepy mask.
Those pretty blues.
Not gonna shoot your brother.
It's so good.
It's the best.
God, I love this movie. Yeah. I'm so glad we did this movie.
Yeah, it's sweet. All right, cool. So hero villain ranking and list ranking, is it something we gotta pull up here?
We do. You keep doing that. I'm gonna read some more live chat.
Okay,
it's gotten rowdy.
Excellent. So we both did our rankings here, and this time, as opposed to in the past, when we just stare here and just like,
well, this movie's as good as this movie, but
we decided to do our rankings first. So we'll do the hero villain ranking first. I will start with mine, which is predictably going to be significantly higher than Andrew's.
Absolutely. Even though, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this movie, but
right, it's hard to. I get it. Did I put Johnny Utah on the list, or I don't think? Looks like I didn't put him on.
Oh, I don't think I put him on mine either.
I definitely did. 100%. He's number 15 for me.
Really?
Yeah, I put Johnny Utah as my number 15 action hero.
Sweet.
I was trying to figure out, like, in my mind, which of these characters do I actually like enjoy on camera more? Who do I like? And this is one of those really hard ones because the deal is. We always say this. The difference between the greatest of something and your favorite of something is very drastic.
Unless it's Gladiator.
Yeah, but we do run the risk when we do rankings of like, there's no way that I believe that this is the second best action movie of all time.
No.
But when we get to the other list, it's my number 2 movie.
Of course it is.
Because it's just, there's almost no movie I can think of I enjoy more. So it's hard for me, like, which is why I thought about how much do I enjoy the character of Johnny Utah. Everything. I think
He is incredibly enjoyable.
Yeah.
And not even because he's a good hero.
it's just
the character.
It's great. So that's why I was like, I like him. I think Riggs is a better character. I think Benjamin Martin from The Patriots better. But I think Utah is better than Rocky for Rocky. I think he's better than John Wick.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
So that's why I put him at number 15.
I think what I'm going to do is put him at number 27.
Okay, so you added him.
Yeah, because I don't know why I didn't put him on there this morning when I was thinking about it. He's amazing. He's great.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to put him at 27. And then for my villains, I put Bodhi at number 16.
Which is like admirable.
That's
like,
good.
Yeah, for
It's
like
the first time I've ever seen it. He's right behind T1000.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And he's sweet.
I had such a hard time, man. I looked at all the guys that I was gonna have to put him behind, and every time I was like,
I love that you have your top 5 done without General Hummel.
I know.
So who's going to get the bump?
Hans Gruber, Bodhi, Agent Smith, Owen Davian, and Tavington?
Okay, here's my question for you. Is Hummel or Bodhi better for you?
Bodhi.
Really?
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
So then Hummel's got to be 3.
Yep, Hummel's gonna end up being 3.
Okay.
I can already tell.
Yeah. All right. I respect that. I respect that.
Which
and
is such a sweet top 5.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as mine.
So that's the hero villain ranking. Now let's get into where we actually put the movie.
Yeah.
And once again, this is the most irrational.
This is great. Mine's like okay, so I have Point Break at 21 behind Con Air, which is another movie that came out around the same time.
Yeah,
That has the same does the same thing for me.
Right.
Essentially that it does
Totally.
for you. Ben, on the other hand,
has Point Break at number 2.
oh, number 2.
Now,
Ahead of Aliens, The Matrix, Gladiator, The
Yeah.
Fugitive.
I like it way more.
That's
like,
cool, man. I totally respect that.
The reasons I love all of those other movies, I like Point Break for the same reasons more. The only one that I have to question is Aliens, because Aliens is so sweet and is so
Yeah.
much more effective in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I've watched Point Break 70 times.
Right.
I could watch it 70 more. Aliens, I think, is sweet, but I wouldn't want to watch Aliens daily.
What movie have you seen the most on this list?
Point Break.
Point
no
Break,
question.
100%.
The only other movie I've seen in my life as much, 2 other movies, are Mortal Kombat 1 and Warrior. They're like the 3 movies that I've seen the most
I
times.
like that. I like those are good ones.
Yeah. I saw Mortal Kombat 1 like literally.
I watched that
100
movie a lot.
When I was a kid, like I would watch it daily often. I've
My
seen
mom
it probably
would,
100 times.
I didn't buy it ever
Yeah.
for some reason until like way later on. She wouldn't. She started to refuse to rent it for me, even
Right.
though it was like the cheap dollar rental. She
Yeah.
was like, "We're not getting it again."
Yeah.
I know every line of that movie.
Yeah.
It was more like, "We're not getting it again."
Yeah.
But you know,
Sue Pax a saint.
she is a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
all
So
right.
that's that. We're gonna get into recast here. Do we have? I think we might have the video queued though.
Do we?
Of Farley and Swayze. Now we're running a little
gosh.
short on time, but
No,
we
this
probably
is more
can.
important than anything.
Than anything we could possibly do. Oh my god. For anyone who hasn't seen this sketch in its entirety,
Watch it.
watch it now and then cue it up again where you can really pay attention. We're not going to talk over it.
We're Chippendales.
We're Chippendales.
Marcy, music.
He's so lucky in a lot of ways that he has this. Like,
Oh, totally.
do you know what I mean for his legacy? I mean, really both of them, because realistically,
It was the #1 comedy and the #1 like heartthrob.
aside from like, I don't know, some scenes in Tommy Boy, fat guy in a little coat, maybe. What else did Farley ever do that was as famous as this?
Dude, this is. I mean, there's so much.
Matt Foley, motivational speaker, is
Bennett
famous.
Brower here.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like
This is yeah.
When I had a Swayze,
Huge.
My birthday party 2 years ago was a Patrick Swayze themed costume party, and I did Chippendales and my
Oh my gosh, dude! I have that picture of you and me dressed up.
yeah.
Why do we not put that on the show?
And my buddy, who's slightly heavier set than I am, did Chippendales as well. And we were so drunk.
Oh my god, it was Josh. I totally forgot.
We were so drunk that we tore our shirts off in the living room at like midnight with the song playing.
It was just the two of them. Everyone else had left.
There is video of that, by the way. But I mean, like, literally every single person in the party immediately recognized like what we were dressed
course.
as, because like, yeah, it's so good. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's long, but we'll
highly recommend
go
watching
watch it right after this show. We're almost done.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is like when you think about those guys, the true classics, the guys who are like the best of the best ever, you know, those guys who were the guy, they have a sense of humor.
You have to.
You have to.
You have to be able to laugh at yourself.
And you have to be funny. If you're the funnier you are, the better you are at making fun of yourself. This is why Tom Hanks was always so good, because Tom Hanks could be the guy, the Oscar winner, and then he would go on SNL and he would
kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosling's was great the other day. I mean, he broke a lot.
Yeah.
But in McConaughey's was great. Like, it's really nice to see these people that can just...
The good sketches.
They have to laugh at themselves.
Yeah, Baldwin used to be amazing. One of the best ever. So anyway, let's get into recast. So this is a weird one because there's a remake of the movie coming out next week.
And we're not going to use any of those people because no one knows who any of them are.
Yeah, they did a weird casting thing with that remake where they just decided to make Point Break like as like
some guy just goes, the line, it was Hearst. He goes, at the end when Swayze says, "If you choose me, it can only be because his body is so bad."
Only because his body is so bad. They're like, Hadrian has a lean physique, which is traditionally what artists have had, where yours is fat and flabby. Right. No, Barney, no.
Okay.
It's so good.
I can't. I'm losing it.
Yeah. So this is a recast, guys. Once again, it's the first time we're watching the show. This is the part of the movie where part of the show where we take the movie and we either jump forward or we jump backward, depending on when it was made. We do a phantom recast if you were to remake the movie today. So I don't necessarily think that the new one's going to be bad. One of our friends who's been on the show here has worked on it. And he said the stunts are amazing. I believe it. It's a little weird that they just chose to not really cast anybody.
You need that guy. You need the guy.
Even like the guy they cast as Keanu didn't bother me as much because you don't need a superstar in that role.
No, you need the Bodhi role to be a superstar.
He has to be like, and they might get lucky and it might be awesome and he might be great. But
I haven't heard good things.
I haven't heard anything.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you need the guy.
You need
Patrick Swayze. You need that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely tough. But we thought about it, and this is our recast. You want to go first?
Yeah. So we'll go from the bottom up.
Start
with Harp, which is played by Mr. John C. McGinley, who could just play the role again.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
You know nothing. You know less than nothing. In fact, if you knew that you knew
young, dumb, and full of cum.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go John Malkovich.
Oh wow, he's like a little older.
He's
now.
a little older, but I just like. The thing that McGinley does is he screams at you and makes you feel stupid.
Yeah.
The thing that Malkovich does is he talks to you and makes you feel really, really stupid.
Yeah.
So to see Malkovich just like sit there and be incredibly condescending towards basically what would be Keanu would be so entertaining to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's good.
Okay. I
like Malkovich. I went with Frank Grillo.
Turn your hip. No, I'm not gonna do it.
And in. Frank Campana, very unorthodox trainer. Yeah, that's who I went with.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
He's in the show Kingdom on Audience Network, which I've heard is great. It's an MMA show. Do you know this?
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's very good.
I hear it's great.
I've been told to watch it a lot.
Yeah.
So for Tyler, I went with Roxy Stryer.
Did you really?
Dun, dun, dun.
Roxy Stryer?
Roxy, our girl, Roxy Stryer.
First lady of Action Movie Anatomy?
First lady of Action Movie Anatomy.
Oh, she'll be so happy to hear.
She will love it.
Hey, guys, if you're watching the show right now and you're on Twitter, I want you to tweet at Roxy Star right now and let her know that she was just recast in the Point Break recast by Andrew Ghai.
That's right.
I think that would make her very happy.
And if I had to cast someone that most everyone knew, I would do Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose.
She is a newcomer. She was in Orange is the New Black.
Oh, yeah.
The newest season.
Her name is Ruby Rose? I thought it was something else.
She's the one that has the affair with Piper.
She's all tatted up, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her name...
I can totally see her. She's got the accent. She's smoking hot. She's got the body of a surfer. Like, she would be good in this role.
Yeah.
And she's a badass.
I went with Evan Rachel Wood.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
Evan Rachel Wood, huh?
Yeah, she's done the troubled thing a bunch of times. She's old enough now that she doesn't seem like she's in 13 anymore.
Okay.
And I've seen like recently, like she looks kind of punked out. She got shorter hair.
Right.
I could see him really making her. She in The Wrestler. She's kind of troubled. I could see if they kind of went that direction.
I love that movie.
The
Wrestler.
Yeah, it's great.
It's one of my favorites.
I think she'd be very good in this role, and she's a good actress too.
Yeah. She's very good.
Yeah.
Who did you put in for our boy Gary Busey?
For Pappas?
For Pappas.
Woody Harrelson.
Yes. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Because he's got to be over the hill.
Yeah.
He's got to have some humor.
Yeah.
He's got to be crude.
I wanted to do Val Kilmer.
I thought about it.
I wanted to.
I thought about Kilmer in him and Harp. I almost put him in both roles.
Yeah.
But
I
couldn't
wanted
bring myself
Kilmer
to do
for
it.
him, but I actually casted Mickey Rourke,
Also good.
which is
Also
I think
good.
is basically Busey
Yeah.
at the time.
I wonder if he has as much humor at this point in his career. I don't know if he could poke fun at himself enough. You know what I mean?
I think that at this point in his career,
You'd like
he
to think
can.
so.
I would like to think so. I don't know.
I haven't heard the
heard
most
good things.
flattering
Yeah.
stories, but I'd like to think so.
But if he could poke fun at himself, it would just be amazing.
Johnny Utah,
Who did you go with?
Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth.
Really?
Yeah.
He's too big. He's too manly. Chris Hemsworth is who I cast as Bodhi.
You went with Chris Hemsworth as Bodhi.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's like he is him.
He can get big. He also can get tiny.
He's Thor.
Yeah, hard to see though. He weighs like 90 pounds.
True.
He lost all the weight in the world.
Weight, yeah.
He's like hey, this is the most important. Australian accent, Hemsworth, not American accent. He's not from Ohio.
Right.
So you change the character. You bring him in with a foreign accent.
But I cast him as Bodhi because of his Australian accent.
Oh, so he's sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I could see him fitting both roles. I think he's
funny.
a talented enough actor, but also cardboard enough at times.
Yeah, exactly.
That he could sort of do both.
Yeah, he could totally play that. Like, and I heard he was really good in the new Vacation movie.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
I heard he was actually like one of the funniest parts.
Huh.
So for Utah, I originally was going to do Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah.
Because I just hate him.
Right.
I don't know
You
why.
don't like him for some
I don't think he's
reason.
very good. And then when we were talking, I was like, oh, Taylor Lautner would be perfect because he is that guy. But I'm going to go Shia LaBeouf.
I thought about it.
Good.
I was this close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had Theo James, too, the guy from Divergent.
Wait,
but
this is as Bodhi?
This is his Utah.
Didn't we just do...
I didn't do my Utah.
Oh,
I just said that I said Chris Hemsworth was my Bodhi.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for Utah, I'm going to stick with Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I like it. I like it. I think that guy's so talented.
Me too. But I think he can play dumb well.
Yeah. In some ways, I think he's a little too witty, so I wonder if he'd be able to pull off like Dumb Surfer as well as he'd need to, but I'll bet you he could.
I bet he could.
Yeah, I like Shia.
So then, I did Hemsworth for Bodhi. I was going to do Gosling, but Hemsworth is so much better fit than Gosling for me.
Okay, I went to this person's Twitter to make sure that they didn't seem too old, because I felt like when I thought about it, I was like, I wanted to make sure I could make this casting choice. And then I thought about the age difference in the movie, and I was like, it doesn't really matter that he's
I hope
supposed
you
to be
say the wrong name again like you do. Like, instead of saying Ricky
Robert
Whittle, you say, like, Ricky
Angel.
Gervais.
No, because I was thinking, like, 34 is the sort of the correct age. Uh-huh. But I went with McConaughey. And I did it because I think...
We talked about this a good amount last night, McConaughey being in this role.
He's jacked enough.
He can be, yeah.
He's taken pretty damn good care of himself.
Absolutely.
He can look good and young. I mean,
he's like 45, right?
Yeah, but in True Detective season 1, which was just like 2 years ago, he looks like
terrifying.
Well, but when they show the flashbacks when he looks young, I mean, he looks like he's in his early 30s.
Yeah, he still takes great care of himself.
Mid-30s, maybe. Like, he could totally, with the right tan, getting ripped, like, he could totally pull this off.
Interesting.
And a lot of people say that, like, the attitude of the two guys in their time, like, older people who, like, lived through Swayze,
right?
That they're like, he was 100% just McConaughey in his day. That was his character. He was sort of the Texas shit kicker. People kind of knew that about him.
I think he's a little too old, but I still like the cast.
Because in my opinion, I was like, he could be a 40-year-old. He could be 40.
Yeah,
it almost doesn't
he could be
matter.
anything. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
there's
doesn't
a reason.
really-
I'm sure there's a reason they never say how old he is.
Yeah, it almost doesn't affect the characters that I was thinking, like, because he should be sort of like the older brother, like kind of, the character Keanu looks up to a little bit.
So audience, go to our Twitter at AMA Podcast and hashtag Master Recaster with either Ben or myself for who you thought did a better better job recasting the movie this week.
Yeah, and let's get into categories.
Let's do it.
So there are 3 action movie categories. One of them is totally legitimate. One is totally ridiculous. The other is ridiculously legitimate. One of them is like, say, The Fugitive, or a movie like Terminator 2, which really holds together well. It's quite dramatic. It doesn't really feel like it's aged very much. Doesn't really ever make you laugh unintentionally. It's just a really good movie.
This movie definitely doesn't do that.
Then on the other end, you have totally ridiculous, which is like Face Off and Con Air. They're kind of laughable all throughout. Sometimes you wonder, like, were you guys really not in on the joke? Because this whole movie is absurd. I'm just laughing the whole time. And they're good, but they sometimes will, like, lose focus. Like, you'll find too many holes.
Yeah.
And then there's ridiculously legitimate, which is the middle category, which is sort of a little bit of both. Usually it is driven by one really magnetic figure, somebody who's got a great, almost like awards-worthy performance, a really compelling story, a movie that's well done, but has a lot of unintentional comedy. So Predator is a great example of this movie. For me, it is squarely in the middle category, ridiculously legitimate, because I'm so engaged when I watch this movie, and artistically, there's enough about this movie that I think is done really well that it doesn't lose me. Like stuff like we showed with the chase.
Yeah.
Or like certain scenes, like some of it's just very effective.
No, I completely agree that it's ridiculously legitimate. And I almost wanted to put it in totally ridiculous because of how bad Keanu is.
Because
and
it's
like
close.
how just cliche everything is.
Yeah.
And Busey. But it does such a good job in the serious moments.
Yeah.
With the bank robberies and the deaths and the end.
Yeah.
And it brings you back.
Yeah.
To exactly where we want our movies to be on this show, and that's in that perfect middle category.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about like the skydiving hardly at all.
No.
I mean, it's so sweet.
It's so sweet.
And it's just, we said it during the trailer a little bit, but if you weren't aware, Swayze was an accomplished skydiver, and they had to insist over and over again that for insurance purposes, he stopped doing free falls during filming, because he would go and jump 2 or 3 more times when they were done filming for the day. And they were like, look, if you stop doing it, we'll let you get the shot where you jump out of the plane on camera, and you can just do that in the movie.
Right.
And he was like, okay. And so then he did that on camera, and that's the shot you see in the trailer.
So good.
And he's clearly the only one really skydiving.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like him free falling, and then
like,
and then Keanu's like, how do you like it, Johnny? Amazing! Fucking amazing!
Oh, it's so good.
You know, I can't handle a cage, man. I don't care!
Yeah,
My
poor
favorite thing
Swayze.
ever.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, there's one more thing on the show, and it's called The Pitch.
So good. We're getting
Really good at that.
Yeah.
We did this a soft pitch on this already because it's the other half of the coin you guys
We're
voted
doing
on.
Kill Bill Volume 2. Stoked. Can't
Andrew,
wait.
you're fired.
Well, firstly, though, we will not be doing a show next week.
Oh, yeah, because it's Christmas.
Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. So
Yeah.
happy holidays to you from us.
The studio
we'll miss you.
will be closed. We will be home with our families.
Yeah.
And we'll come back strong with a vengeance. There's a lot of really exciting stuff coming in 2016, guys. We have a bunch of new stuff to introduce to
Like
the
a
show.
lot of new things.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. So next week, we won't be doing a show. The week after, we will be doing Tombstone and Kurt Russell's sweet, sweet fucking mustache.
I'll be a Huckleberry.
Oh, my God. This is an orgasm of movie choices for us.
Dude, I was before the show started, I was sitting here and I was looking at our list because we had it printed out of our rankings, and I was like, oh my God, look at these movies that we've done. These are 34 of the best action movies we've ever done, and it's just going to keep happening. We're just going to keep doing more of them.
So many sweet movies.
So excited.
Like the library, if you were to like give this to someone and be like, hey, you've got 6 months to go, abroad, and this is like the movies that you get on your iPad.
Right.
Here's the 50 movies you're gonna get. Like, oh my God.
I would be so stoked.
Yeah, so good. So we're gonna be doing Tombstone. Kurt Russell has a sweet mustache in Hateful Eight, which comes out on Christmas.
Right.
His original sweet mustache was in Tombstone.
That's right.
Arguably next to The Rock and Point Break, probably the movie that I think is the third most quotable. That and Predator, maybe.
Really?
For me. I mean,
Damn him. Damn that man.
Tombstone is remarkably quotable. Like, it's almost like the movie's almost just made for quotes.
Like, I remember, watching Tombstone again isn't going to be quite as foreign as watching Point Break.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it a couple more times, but still very minimal.
It's exciting.
I'm stoked.
It's a very good one. So, guys, get ready for that. Watch Tombstone. Otherwise, have a great, great holiday. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to check out the Twitter, AMA Podcast. You can find me at Ben Bateman Media.
You can find me at Andrew Ghai. Happy holidays, guys. Thanks for a great year.
Yeah, thank you for a great first 34 episodes or whatever it was.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye, guys.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.